ye GhanaTube. One of maybe only Matima Sibium, Masai Aja Konya, and Sema Air Costo, Ghana, and not a Metimasi say, and I'm in air bro. Where they call Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, Honorable Kisi Ejabe, ne office, or in fact, a JB air the Ray Hopa, Enya Senketo, and Simbi, Abba Betuja, and Sena Betuja, and then Semu a whole Ayashipa, or not maybe making kind Sema a free a year. OSP asiye ho na nsuwati anu near air course na sometime ago before me call nsemi no ye chichi a special prosecutor chichi nkofu bi customs boss ne keka we mu ka say we small boy those issues na arise here e wo Ghana ntem se kan wasem ewie no nsem bi free mu ba na nsem no anu ye hyiye party omo say arrest of 4 business man went special prosecutor's office for the dirty work. Where the topic so inside the Herald is picking up disturbing report suggesting an abuse of the office of the special prosecutor. OSP new office is being abused to further a certain powerful man's business interest. And you're making Kanya Ubehu the OSP's recent arrest and subsequent slapping of criminal charges on some 4 individuals, including customs officials, have been traced to a certain Aďorszást Yeboah, a businessman. Ye trace 6 na akakuvuta businessman be our friend Aďorszást Yeboah. And the Aďorszást Yeboah is also described as the owner of a very famous hotel in Ghana, a clearing agent, and a one-time customs officer who left the service on a rather bizarre note. The hustler businessman is said to be chasing James Kirk, or say, a civil servant in the office of the vice president for certain consignments of which strangely found its way into some 10 containers of rice belonging to Mr. Osei whilst on the high seas. In that example, and I was here say Obibia could do a big hard say and no trace na office of the and I said from the office of the vice president. The Mamika would almost say the hotelier come businessman is said to be chasing James Kirk, or saying a civil servant in the office of the vice president for certain consignments of his which is strangely found its way into some 10 containers of rice belonging to Mr. Osei whilst on the high seas. One Albert Aďorszást, an ex-customs officer in the office of the special prosecutor, has been mentioned as leading the prosecution, which is thought to have been triggered by satisfying someone's business interest rather than a clear infraction of the laws of Ghana. Indeed, they have been slapped with criminal charges relating to their failure to declare their assets. However, the criminal charges, according to the Herald insiders, are intimidatory tactics to get Kirk Osei to allow them to have access to the 10 containers holding the suspicious content. People familiar with the matter told the Herald that Kirk Osei has been locked up in an undisclosed location, but the customs officers are working free. I know the year per way I can kind of make it 2 years one or better air cost OSP Nasu home. Instead, the customs officer were said to have investigated the matter and found that the said containers had multiple ports of loading but same destination. What Kirk Osei had in his documents that the 10 containers and its content were from Thailand. Aďorszást Yeboah's documents mentioned that the containers were from Vietnam. When say containers no every Thailand and about also say when the containers no every I say it's the confusion was to have led to an investigation by customs officials to determine the true owner. Interestingly, they have also charged alongside Aďorszáest, who, unlike Aďorszáest, was able to justify his ownership of the 10 containers and the fact it had been consigned to his private company, which is registered as the Registrar's General Department. The arrest and criminal charges slapped on the officers is to put pressure on Aďorszáest to release the containers. Others also feel the arrest is a power play move to subdue the custom officers working in the country's ports, especially the Tema port. The Herald also picked up reports that an initial attempt to frustrate Aďorszáest and deny him his containers led him to rush to court to secure a court injunction placed on them. The containers are still in the Tema port while both parties make the effort to put their ownership of the consignment before the court. It's not clear how a strange cargo will enter sealed containers while on the high seas. It's also not clear why the CEP's High Command did not have the containers properly inspected to ascertain whether the containers were carrying lawful goods. There are reports that Aďorszáest is being pushed to withdraw the court injunction and release the containers and be set free. Has in the meantime been described as a political octopus, who is connected to the political elite. Meanwhile, the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, has distanced himself from James Aďorszáest, a civil servant in his office, charged for failing to declare their sources of income in contravention of Regulation 20. The Office of the Special Prosecutor, in a statement on Friday, said it has arrested 4 persons, 3 public servants and 1 civil servant, and charged them for failing to declare their source of income. The 4, Isa Seidu, James Aďorszáest, John Aban, and Peter Aďorszáest, are due to appear before the High Court, Criminal Division in Accra. According to the Office of the Special Prosecutor, Mr. Seidu works with the National Insurance Commission, while James works with the Office of the Vice President as an administrator. A statement from the Office of the Vice President confirmed that Mr. Aďorszáest is a civil servant with many years of working experience at the Jubilee House, dating back to periods before the government came into force. It however stressed that the facts as disclosed by the charge sheet suggests it is a personal matter unannounced to the office or his role in the office until Dofumedo. Midimu Asia with the Mesheda, Ekin sending year pa FSL, Utie, Samana say heater, Aďorszáest financial air after arrest of some 4 persons. No, this year again, Semo, Emu in Shemu Ankasa air, Bantinia, Odi, Efa in some way, no metia for comment session, no major comments or Dofumedo, Magic Brain, no Makenka in Semo, Ediamon, Sisia, Macram.